You can't nuke a network. How would you nuke Bitcoin? You would army.
Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
What are the risks inherent in a network state? Not just the upside, which you've categorized so nicely in the book.
Sure. I mean, what most people will come to, what most will say is, "Oh my God, you're so unrealistic. It's never going to work," et cetera, et cetera. And they'll say, "Oh, in particular," what people will always come back to is use of force. You and what army? Where's the military? You don't have nukes, blah blah. And there's a long and short answer to that. Go ahead. What?
No, I'm just laughing. You don't have nukes, so that would be a good thing. And nowadays, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's basically something where they're just sort of reacting at the surface level on something. If the reason the internet was invented, in part, like DARPA funded it for something that
was nuclear conflict, right?
Exactly. That's right. Those resistant and we might actually need to go back to that future where, in the event that Putin or whatever sets off a nuke and the nuclear taboo is broken, you may want to have governance structures that are nuke resistant, right? And you can't nuke a network. How would you nuke Bitcoin? That actually is something where you're going to nuke billions of people that you don't even know where they are. You need to have an XY location, and they need to be implicitly concentrated in one physical location. If you're distributed, that's actually something that makes nuclear weapons less useful, right? It's only if you're sessile and fixed to a location and you have a lot of fixed structures and so on and so forth. And if people know where your location is, right? Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of things where folks haven't really thought about just like we talked about earlier, the cloud geography versus land geography. People have not thought about what actually security looks like in an environment where people are highly mobile, where capital is mobile, where you can encrypt things, where you can distribute and decentralize things. It's not to say that force goes away, but force looks a lot more like drones than nukes, and a lot more like, special ops than huge armies, right? And it's much more surgical, and it's tweezers and it's, scalpels. It's not sledgehammers, right? And so they haven't thought about what force looks like in a network world. That's not to say that no sledgehammers exist. There's still obviously huge sledgehammers being deployed in Ukraine and back and forth. But a lot of that is actually also still cloud war. It's also network war. Ukraine wouldn't be where it is without being able to wage a really effective cloud war against, Russia's traditional kind of land war. So I think, you asked what the downsides are. That's one downside is just that, I think, which is not exactly what you're asking, but one downside is folks will try to map this to the things that they've already seen without thinking about how technology has changed things. It's a little bit like cryptocurrency, a lot like cryptocurrency, where it would, some people get it right away, and for some people, they just have to kind of see it working for a while. So one downside is you just have to make it work before people believe it, but that's fine. The critical thing is, for something like this, you don't have to convince everybody. You just have to convince enough people that you can get only a small percentage of people, for example, move to the US. That changed the world. You didn't get the majority of people to move to the US. You didn't even get 10% of the world to move to the US. Only 4% of the world is in the US. And many of those were born from folks who moved there, right? So a tiny percentage moving to the frontier can change everything. Mm. So in a sense, the quote, lack of majority appeal or what have you, is it bad? It's actually good in some ways.
This was just a teaser. To make sure you don't miss the full episode with Balaji, click here and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell.